Last month, during the World Cup, I opened one of these apps for the first time. Not because I needed the money, I wanted the feeling, that jump in your chest right before a result comes in. I placed bet after bet through the tournament, chasing that feeling more than any actual return. By the final whistle, most of what I put in was gone. That was my first time doing this. It is also my last. And once I started looking into why it felt so easy to lose that much money that fast, I found out the entire system is built to make sure of exactly that.
It's 2026, it's a new year. Delete that Betway app, delete that Hollywood Bets app, actually quit Forex if you may, especially if you know you are not making profit. Time to tell yourself the truth. There is no way you are going to make a living or get rich by doing these things. No matter how much money you win, eventually you are going to give it back. Delete that app. Okay, delete those apps. They are no good. You know, you've been knowing for a while now. It's the hope. The hope is killing you. Delete those apps.
South Africa is currently one of the fastest growing markets for this activity anywhere in the world. In the 2023/24 financial year, the total amount South Africans staked through licensed platforms reached 1.14 trillion rand. That is close to 17% of the country's entire GDP. The following year, that number grew again, reaching an estimated 1.5 trillion. This is not slow, steady growth. This is a 5-year climb of more than 500%, and almost none of it is coming from casinos or physical outlets. It is coming from an app on your phone.
Why are you guys gambling so much? Barry, you guys spend 1.1 trillion as a collective gambling. Kure horse, soccer, anything. Waka fukujang. Waka fukujang. 1.1 trillion. Barely spend the same amount of money that taxpayers as a collective pay SARS. So the amount of money that taxpayers give SARS on a yearly basis is equivalent to how much money is being spent on gambling.
Here is the part almost nobody explains clearly, that 1.5 trillion rand is not what the industry keeps. It is what South Africans put in. What the industry actually keeps after paying out winnings was 36.9 billion rand in the 2024 financial year. In the sports wagering category alone, that number is called gross revenue, and it exists because of a built-in mathematical edge, sometimes called the house edge, that guarantees the platform wins over time no matter what any individual bettor does. In South Africa, researchers estimate that average edge at around 5%. Run the math forward, and a bettor who keeps rebetting what remains of their money will statistically lose half of it within about 23 rounds. This is not bad luck. This is the design. And the design is not accidental.
So that's why there's branches, because they're winning. The bookmakers are winning. That's why they're opening branches, and there's a company popping up every day, because they're not in the business of making people rich, and that's what people don't get. They're not in the business of making people rich.
Because they make it look like you're gonna get some money.
No, that's how they lure people in. They won't. Ask a lot of guys who gamble. Like, they've lost more than they won. And that's just the truth.
Did you ever do sports betting when you were gambling?
Yeah, I did. That's the bulk of the gambling I was doing. Yeah.
How much did you lose or win?
The most I've won was like 200K.
200K?
Yeah, which I lost as well again.
One of the world's largest platforms reported that 80% of its sports revenue came from in-play bets alone. Public health researchers, in a major review published in The Lancet, described this format as engineered to encourage rapid, repetitive betting behavior.
We're living in an era of sophisticated algorithms and emotional triggers, a constant state of outrage or panic, and then words like near miss, like, oh, if I don't act now, I'm going to miss out on something. Free bets, just keeping people engaged. It just makes me think behavioral engineering. So many of these platforms are not regulated, and people are at risk. What do we do?
Inside the industry, this is sometimes called addiction by design. Outside the industry, it is called exactly what it looks like: Two companies dominate this market in South Africa, Betway and Hollywood Bets. Between them, they control an estimated 2/3 to 3/4 of all money wagered in the country. Betway's South African revenue was reported at roughly 11 billion rand in 2024 and has nearly tripled in 2 years. Betway operates under Supergroup, a company listed in New York, and the bulk of its beneficial ownership sits offshore, tied to trusts linked to a small group of South African-born executives, including Martin Marshall, who lives abroad and has become one of the largest funders of opposition political parties inside South Africa, having donated close to 96 million rand since 2021. Hollywood Bets, by contrast, remains privately held by its founder and says its profits stay in the country. Its estimated annual take is around 16 billion rand. Concrete evidence of how this industry treats people who are already in trouble is not hard to find. In 2022, Betway went to court to stop a former customer named Claude Gauss from publicly saying the company had turned him into a compulsive user. The presiding judge refused to block that specific claim. Court records showed that when Gauss first tried to close his account, Betway responded by offering him an increased cashback incentive, which pulled him back in. When he later complained to the Provincial Gambling Authority, the company paid him a 150,000 rand settlement to withdraw the complaint without covering any cost of addiction treatment. The judge's own words in that ruling questioned whether companies like this build people up financially only to hand them off to the welfare system, or worse, once they are no longer profitable. That is not commentary. That is a South African court record.
When I do calculations, and now when I went to print out bank statements, all of it, 768,000 rands. Did you get that? Not 70,000.
Over half a million.
Bona. Salary to kenaka 11 o'clock.
Yes.
Do you hear me? 11 o'clock yabusiu. Salary ken 11:40. Kere ka 5 o'clock. Who's saying AM. Ausana next.
None of this is happening in a regulatory vacuum, but the vacuum is exactly the problem. The law currently governing all of this, the National Gambling Act, was written in 2004, before the smartphone even existed in its modern form. Attempts to modernize it in 2008 and again in 2012 were drafted and then simply abandoned. As of early 2026, the National Gambling Board has reaffirmed that online casino-style games remain illegal nationwide under that law, full stop, while licensed sports wagering through registered bookmakers remains the one clearly legal category. A Supreme Court of Appeal ruling in late 2025 found that casino-style features offered through sports platforms were unlawful, but provinces are still openly disputing how far that ruling actually reaches, which means, in practice, different provinces are enforcing different rules on the very same apps. Taxation tells a similar story. Each of South Africa's 9 provinces sets its own tax rate on this industry, typically around 6.5%, and provinces compete for the right to license these companies because the licensing province is the one that collects the revenue.
In essence, technology has pushed up because you can download from wherever you are and get the kind of the app that you actually want to play with. It's a big problem in terms of the smart technology.
The National Treasury has now proposed a national 20% tax, specifically on online operators, stacked on top of existing provincial tax, which could push the effective rate above 26%. Treasury has been explicit that the primary goal is not extra revenue. It is stated directly as an attempt to reduce the harm this industry is causing. Public comment on that proposal closed in February 2026. As of now, no final law has been passed. While lawmakers debate, the human toll is already measured. The National Responsible Gambling Program runs South Africa's official support helpline, funded in part by a small mandatory contribution from the industry itself. On the 2024-25 financial year, calls to that helpline rose by 623% from around 140,000 calls the year before to more than 1.1 million. Of the people who called, more than 40% said they could not stop without professional help. Nearly a third said they were in financial difficulty because of it. Referrals for treatment among people aged 18 to 35 more than doubled in a single year. This is not a niche problem affecting a small number of unlucky people. This is a rapidly scaling public health issue, and the industry funding the support line is the same industry generating the crisis it is meant to treat. Sponsorship has embedded these brands into the fabric of South African sport so deeply that avoiding them has become close to impossible. Betway's logo sits on the Springbok jersey. The Premier Soccer League now carries Betway's name entirely. Hollywood Bets' name is attached to a national cricket franchise and a national rugby franchise. This is not background advertising. It is default visibility built into the experience of simply watching South African sport. If you are watching this and any part of it sounds familiar, the National Responsible Gambling Program's helpline is free, confidential, and available in all 11 official languages. I placed my bets during the World Cup, chasing a feeling for a few weeks. Some people are chasing that same feeling every single day on an app built specifically to keep them chasing it. The math was never on our side. It was never designed to be.